Good evening and happy Wednesday to all of our visitors and friends watching throughout the greater Cincinnati area and maybe throughout America and in some cases maybe international, wherever you are watching from. Good evening and welcome to you all. And you know what? That's the first thing that I want to do as I welcome you to our Confronting Christianity series. The first thing I want for all of you to do who are watching us either on Clifton's YouTube page and Facebook, the Village Church's YouTube page and Facebook, let us know where you're watching from. Maybe you're watching from within the greater Cincinnati area, right here in Cincinnati, in the Mason area, in the Amelia area. Wherever you are watching from, type into your chat and let us know where you are coming from, where you are watching from. We had a wonderful evening last night as we kicked off this collaboration of series of Confronting Christianity. This is a collaboration between the Village Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Clifton Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the Amelia Seventh-day Adventist Church, where we're coming together and we are discussing issues that we face as Christians and how we can get closer to Jesus Christ and set a firm foundation. And so I welcome you this evening. I am so glad that you are joining us this evening and that you will be touched by the message that will be shared this evening. There are a few things that I want to go over. As you recall, last night we had a quiz, and one of the questions that I asked was, what is the biggest faith or biggest religion that exists in the world today? And so we got a lot of different answers in, and we're so glad for everybody that sent in an answer. And so the person that gave in the right answer, the first person that gave the right answer, their name is Shauna Edwards. So Shauna, if you're listening this evening, if somebody knows Shauna, we want you to reach out to them and let them know that they won and that they can claim their prize. The number is going to be up on the screen. Text this number, claim your prize. Let us know how we can reach you. The number is going up on the screen shortly. Let us know how we can reach you so that you can get your gift. This evening, for those of you who are watching on Village and on Clifton, we have two YouTube pages that are streaming simultaneously. For those of you who are watching this evening, the quiz is for both pages, for everybody. So make sure you type in your answer. All right, make sure you type in your answer. Now, last night we discussed about what's the need for religion. Can we do without religion? And we realized that we cannot do without religion. Now, there are three things that the speakers talked about, especially when it comes to religion, when it came to the issue of morality. What are the three issues of morality did the speakers touch on last night? There are three issues of morality. That's the question for tonight. What are those three issues of morality? The first the first person in both the Village page and both the Clifton page, if you can let me know what those three things are, you will receive the book, and it'll be up on your screen, The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. You will receive that book. That's the same book that we offered last night. You will receive that book again tomorrow night if you can answer those three things, and we'll look over the chat and see who are the top two persons who got the answers correctly. And so we are so happy that you are joining us this evening. Another thing that we want you to do, we want these videos to go viral. So take some time, share this link on your Facebook page. Like on Facebook, like on YouTube, wherever you're watching, and share this stream. There's somebody who needs to hear the word of God. So take just a minute or so, share on your Facebook pages, share the link in your text group, in your WhatsApp, however you communicate with somebody, and say, hey, you do not want to miss this. This is going to be a great message tonight. I want you to take time and share this link, this service this evening. So tonight, our topic is entitled, How Can You Say There Is Only One True Faith? That's an interesting topic. How can you say there is only one true faith? Let somebody know about this message this evening. But before we get to the speakers, we're going to have a special health nugget shared by one of our brothers and sisters, one of our sisters from the Village Church. Her name is Danya Lewis. And then also a special music from the Village Church by three wonderful ladies. And then after that, the next voices you will hear is that of Pastor Kojo and Pastor Jeba.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Lewis. I am a member of the Village SDA Church in Mason, Ohio. Welcome to this evening's Health Nugget. Last evening, our nugget was in nutrition for our body, and today I'll bring you a nugget on brain health. There are 5 key items to good brain health. And absolutely, positively, the lifestyle that you choose affects your brain health. That means what you eat and you drink, how much you exercise, if you exercise, how much you sleep, how big your support group is, or if you have a support group, and how you handle stress. What we eat and drink has a profound effect on how our brain functions. So what we're eating or what we're drinking, we're either feeding disease and bad health, or we're fighting it. Nutritious foods that contain fatty acids, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals nourish the brain and protect it from oxidative stress. That means we need to have that oxygen off and get some fresh oxygen in there so that our brain can keep functioning. It needs it to function. Having a lack of oxygen to the brain, those brain cells start to die. And if you've ever seen someone who has had a stroke and they can't think straight, they can't think clearly, that's cutting off that supply to the brain, and the brain cells start to die because it needs those brain cells. So exercise gets lots of that oxygen to our brain. I want you to also be aware that our nutritional values for what we need in our life, even for brain health, also change as we get older. So as you get older, continue speaking with your doctor, your dietitian, or your nutritionist to be able to help you make sure you're getting the correct amount of vitamins and minerals you need to feed your brain. Exercise. Exercise is the fuel for the brain. It increases blood flow, it promotes brain plasticity, which means it's stretching, getting new pathways, new tissues there to be able to create a bigger brain, so to speak. These two in turn work together to fight against depression, loneliness. It brightens our mood. It also fights against aging issues such as Alzheimer's and dementia. Sleep. When we think about sleep in the brain, when we sleep at night, that's the opportunity for our brains to rest, our bodies to restore. We are having restoration and we are having a replenishment on the cellular level in our bodies when we sleep. There are different age groups, and these different age groups need different amounts of sleep to be able to accomplish that for them. For kids, getting the recommended amount of sleep on a regular basis is linked with better health, including improved attention, improved behavior, learning, memory, the ability to control emotions, and mental and physical health. For adults, getting less than 7 hours of sleep or not having the right amount of sleep on a regular basis has also been linked with poor health, including weight gain, having high body mass index or BMI of 30 or greater, increasing their risk or their issues with diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and depression. According to the Sleep Foundation, here are the recommendations for sleep hours at night. Newborns, 0 to 3 months, 14 to 17 hours. Infants, 4 to 11 months, 12 to 15 hours. Toddlers, that's your 1 to 2-year-olds, 11 to 14 hours. Preschool, that's your 3 to 5-year-olds, 10 to 13 hours. School age, 6 to 13, that's 9 to 11 hours. Then you have your teenagers, and that can go from 14 till about 18 years of age, that's 8 to 10 hours. You have your adulthood, so I'm going to call that young adult up until about the age of 65 when it's considered an older adult. And that is anywhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. And then your older adult that reaches that 65 age limit and older need about 7 to 8 hours. Some of these things do change as you get older, and some of them change depending on what type of illnesses or if you have any health issues that's there. Lastly, but certainly not least, is our social status. You don't need to have 25, 50, 75, 100 plus. It doesn't matter. You don't need that many friends on social media. But you do need a good few friends to sit down and chat with, to visit, to go hang out, play games. It doesn't matter. Just to have that human contact, that human conversation. God created us to be social human beings, and we need each other for our physical and our mental health. We should spend time with friends and family and enjoy stimulating conversation, play games, or just talk about trivia, or just go out for a walk. That's a 2-for-1, exercise and socializing. Keep in mind that these mental activities and keeping our mind mentally active, they ward off depression and stress, and they keep our memory from declining because we're expanding those brain cells, those brain tissues, giving it plasticity. Can you imagine in the world if there was only one you or one me? That might be very mundane and quite lonely, might I add as well. And also, I think that could also lead to some level of depression because I'd only have my own thoughts, everything would be just like me. God did not intend that for us. He intended for us to be social beings. We each have unique talents to help our brothers and sisters. So let us use them to bring joy, to bring laughter, to bring life to others. And by the way, in that same process, we'll bring that joy to ourselves and keep our brains nice and strong. Have a good evening.
In case you have fallen by the wayside of life, dreams and visions shattered, you're all broken inside. You don't have to stay in the shape that you're in. The potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the potter wants to put you back together again. In case your situation has turned upside down and all that you've accomplished is now on the ground, you don't have to stay in the shape that you're in. The potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the potter wants to put you back together again. You are broken. Stop by the potter's house. You who need mending, stop by the potter's house. Give him the fragments of your broken life, my friend. The potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the potter wants to put you back together again. You who are broken, stop by the potter's house. You the potter's house. For the weary soul. Peace in the potter's house. If you're looking for love, love in the potter's house. I know that you'll find love, love in the potter's house. And there is salvation. If you believe it today, in the potter's house. Yes, I know there is salvation. There is salvation in the potter's house. If you're looking for healing for your body, in the potter's house. Has it. He's got healing for your body. In the potter's house. Thank God for deliverance from any kind of habit. Oh yes, I know there is deliverance in the potter's house, and you'll find everything you need in the potter's house. You'll find everything you need in the potter's house. You'll find everything you need in the potter's house. You'll find everything you need. You who are broken, stop by the potter's house. You who need mending, stop by the potter's house. Give him the fragments of your broken life, my friend. The potter wants to put you back together again. Oh, the potter wants to put you back together again.
I get so distracted, Kojo, when I'm driving, oftentimes.
For real.
Yeah, very real. And one of the things that distracts me all the time are the bumper stickers behind vehicles.
Ah, I see.
Here's a vehicle, and I don't know how many people get too close to read all these bumper stickers. It is quite an interesting thing. But one day, I saw a bumper sticker that really caught my attention.
Is that right?
It said, God is too big for any one religion. That I said to myself, it is interesting. What is this sticker implying? It is simply implying that for any one religion to bring God and all of truth under one umbrella, it is just not possible.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is religion begins to divide people. Things people fight over, argue about, when instead, in truth, the desire is that all religions should come together and they should stay together and they should be able to work out their differences.
Wow.
And you and I know that, truth be told, that this is a constant problem on planet Earth. That for the most part, religions don't seem to come together and unite, but they seem to always be divisive.
Wow.
Have you experienced something like this in religion?
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that people say that all the time, that religion divides, and that religion shouldn't divide, because at the end of the day, all of these religions are equally the same. And all of these religions are just different paths to one God. This description that kind of came about due to that bumper sticker is actually a larger concept. And the concept is actually called pluralism. So plural for many,
Yes.
ism for an idea or ideology.
Okay.
And it's simply the idea that, if you could see it, that God is in the middle, and that all religions, in some sort of way, are different paths that lead to this one God.
Okay.
And so because all religions are different paths that lead to this one God, there's no reason why the religions should be divided. There's no reason why people should be bickering with one another. There's no need to even worry about which religion you choose, because at the end of the day, you're getting to the same destination. And so because of this, Jebba, people ask the question. They say, if all religions are just, by the way, have you heard this, people say this before? Or is it just me?
Absolutely.
Okay,
A
all right.
lot.
Okay, sounds good. And so if all religions lead to the same place, then the question people ask is this. They say, how can anyone say that there is only one true faith? Right? That's the question people are asking. They're saying, hey, all religions, it don't matter if you're Hindu, if you're Islam, if you're Christian, it all leads to the same place. So at the end of the day, it's almost arrogant for one religion to say that mine is the one true faith. It's okay for someone to say, I'm a Christian, but it's not okay for someone to say, and everyone has to be a Christian. Or it's okay for me to say I'm a Muslim, but it's not okay for me to say that everyone is a Muslim. And what this question is really trying to drive at is that when we don't realize that all religions are pretty much the same and they all lead to one place, it leads to some disastrous consequences. When each religion is feeling like they're superior to the other, what it does is that it leads to arrogance. And so you don't want to hear anybody else anymore. When each religion is saying that they're superior to the other, it leads to disrespect. And so you don't value other people anymore. And that when each religion thinks that they're superior, it leads to division. And so there's hostility and there's violence. There's no peace anymore. And so what this question is really trying to drive at is that at the end of the day, to believe that all religions are the same and they lead to one direction, they lead to one God, brings about several benefits. Number one, it brings about humility, because from there, you're willing to listen and also be accepting of others. At the same time, to believe that all the religions lead to one direction, it enables more respect, because now I can respect others. I don't have to guard my territory so hard. And then, at the same time, it could produce more unity. And best of all, I don't have to worry whether I'm in the right religion or not. No, I do not. I do not have to worry if I'm in the right religion or not. You know why? Because all of them are equally true. And so that's the question we're trying to address tonight. And the question we're simply trying to address is this. If all these religions lead to the same path, lead to the same God, then the question is, how can we say there's only one true way?
Well, you and I know this. You know, this is beautiful on the screen.
Yeah.
But you and I know when people say all religions lead to the same thing, I have seen very little humility. I've seen very little respect. And there's no unity. You know, we are so divisive. And we continue to worry a lot.
Well, they're saying not enough of us. Well, the question is really saying that not enough of us are thinking this way. So more of us really need to think
Need
this
to
way.
think that way.
Exactly.
But even with the little of us, you know, if these are problems. But anyway, now that we are on this journey and we have so many people of different faiths being part of this journey with us, we have to come again to fundamental principles with which we would continue our conversation.
All right, sounds good.
We want to talk about calmness. You know, none of us get excited.
Okay.
You know, we listen with an open mind.
Okay.
We are calm in the journey.
Sounds good.
And then we are moving on to the next one. We are going to be, you know, humble. We are going to say we are going to be humble because we want to listen to the other person's point of view. And that leads us to the next one, the thing that says honesty. Honesty simply says, you know, we open up and we don't hide anything. We share because we know that the other person will calmly listen to what we have to share.
Beautiful.
And then that leads to the big point, that is respect.
All right.
Simply saying we have our differences of opinion, we see things differently, but we will respect one another. And that leads to the thing that we talked about yesterday is we will be honest inquirers. We will put aside our preconceived ideas. We'll sit back and say, I want to be an investigator. I truly want to check out the facts before I make a decision
Good.
as to which direction I'm going to go.
Sounds good. So we're not approaching this as believers per se. We're not approaching this as skeptics per se.
Skeptics, yes.
But we're approaching this as honest inquirers.
That is correct.
And I hope that you will join us in approaching this because we have to. Because this is a serious question.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, we have to take this question seriously because the truth of the matter is, if this concept holds true, then at the end of the day, it's cool. Whatever religion I choose is fine. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. It's totally okay. And so we want to take an honest look at this question.
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's get
Sounds
started.
good. Sounds good. So, on the onset, Jebba, when we ask the question, how can there only be one true faith? Because at the end of the day, all religions lead to the same path. I think one thing we have to be very honest about is that when we look at many religions, especially if we look at the 5 major religions, things like Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and even Buddhism, these are the 5 main ones, and then from there, many of them kind of spin and spawn off of these.
Right.
When we look at these 5 main religions, the thing I have to be honest about is that many of these religions will say, oh, for this reason and for that reason, we are exclusive, and for this reason and for that reason, we are different. But upon examination, what I kind of learned and what we are kind of realizing is that many of the features that religions kind of claim to say that they are different, the truth of the matter is you can find those features in all other religions as well, right? And so, matter of fact, why don't we run through a few of them?
Yeah, that can be an eye-opener for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at the features.
All right.
The first feature is the presence of miracles. There are some people in certain religions that say, well, our religion is the religion because we have so many miracles in our religion.
I see.
And then you dig deep and you begin to realize, we are not exclusively privy to miracles.
Right.
Almost every religion in some fashion or form has miracles that is recorded in their faith.
Absolutely.
And so nobody can claim exclusivity to presence of miracles.
Exactly. Here's another one. A lot of religions will look and say that, well, our religion, what makes ours unique is that we have this goal, and the goal is of surpassing worth, whether it's the goal of heaven or whether it's the goal of nirvana or whatever the case may be, and we have this goal. But the truth of the matter is, or I'll hear Christians say it a lot, what makes our religion different is that we have heaven. And at the end of the day, well, a lot of other religions also have a big surpassing goal, some sort of heaven. And so to claim this as a reason why a religion is unique, I can't really buy that because at the end of the day, this is a feature that is in other religions as well.
Okay, then let's go to the next one.
All right.
The experience of blessings in the present
Oh,
life.
talk about this one, Jebba.
Yeah,
Talk about it.
Well, some religions say, well, when you follow our tenets,
Yeah.
then you are going to have peace and joy and contentment and all these things.
Right.
And so therefore you have to follow this religion. And then you sit back and you say, well, let me dig into other religions to see if they are promising these blessings in the present life. And shock, you find out that most religions say, when you follow our faith, you would have all these things as part of your life experience in this life. And so we again find out that this does not hold water to exclusivity to any faith in this world.
I totally agree with you. I know I hang out with Christians all the time and say, well, the reason why you need to be a Christian is because you experience peace and joy. Same thing Islam says, same thing Buddhism says, same thing Judaism says. So, honestly speaking, we just have to look at the facts. Here's a big one, a big one that many religions, I guess, appeal to in order to say that we're exclusive is that, well, experience is the key in our religion. In our religion, the Christians will say you have to taste and see that the Lord is good. That's the only way. You got to experience it for yourself. Sounds good. Sounds great. But, we can sit, we just don't have the time, but we can sit here and show religious text after religious text. Now, when you look in many other religions, experience is also the key over there. And so, again, as we look at this question honestly, I can see that we have to sit back and really say, many religions have a lot of similar features. And because they have a lot of similar features, it kind of makes sense that, one can believe or that we can perhaps consider the fact that all religions point to the same direction.
Absolutely.
Why don't we show them one more?
All right. Revealed and not man-made. Some people will say, well, our religion was revealed by God. So ours has divine origins.
Yeah.
But yours is man-made.
Right.
And then again, you start digging deep and you try to get to the origins and the foundations of religions, and you begin to realize just about all of them say, ours is not man-made, ours also has divine unction.
Right.
God sanctioned it, and so we have it, and therefore ours is unique. And then when so many religions say ours is unique, then that simply defeats everything. That
Exactly.
says, well, this is not unique for you either.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
that happens
exactly.
a lot.
Makes so much sense. So
Yes.
it's interesting that we've looked at 5 features of what religion claims, of many religions in which they use these features to claim that they're exclusive.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is these are features found in many other religions as well,
right.
really in all other
All
religions.
religions.
And it's interesting because we only showed 5, but in his book, Cross-Examination, author Subodh Pandit actually shows 12 similarities. 12 similarities between all religions. And so with this being said, when we ask the question, how can we say there's only one true faith? Because it seems like if all of these different faiths are leading to the same direction, I can fully understand it. I can fully resonate it. And if we just stop here, I would even say I have to agree with it.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, there are 2 quotes that kind of buttress this entire idea. Maybe you
Okay.
can read this one.
Of course, Buddhism is not Christianity and does not try to be. But how does one come away after encountering Buddhism and deny that it is in touch with God in its way? Okay, Clark Pinnock has asked that question.
Right.
Again, it does not talk about any exclusivism.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So that is important.
Exactly. That I can experience God as being a Christian. I could experience God as being a Buddhist,
Exactly.
so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Especially because these religions have similar features with each other.
Absolutely.
Right? This is what another person said. This is
All
a
right.
Zen saying. The person said to understand God is to listen. It's to listen to Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha, but don't get caught up in the names. Listen to them, then listen beyond them. Listen to God's breath. Now, I don't really know what everything of this means, but I get his basic point. His basic point is that at the end of the day, all of these religions are very similar. We talked about 5 key similarities. Pandit has even showed us that there's 12, and I can fully understand how, at the end of the day, if we look at this question, that we can come away with the conclusion that at the end of the day, there's not one true faith because all of them are leading in the same direction.
So then with the question begs to be asked again.
Okay.
At the end of the day, is there one true faith? Is there something else that we need to consider so that as honest inquirers, we begin to judge the evidences and you say, okay, now that I have studied all of these, this is the direction I'm going to go in.
Okay, so you're pretty much saying that we can't stop at where we just
we
arrived.
cannot stop.
How come we can't stop there?
We cannot stop there because we have not found anything exclusive so far.
Okay, all right,
So the question simply is asking, is there something that sets a religion apart?
Okay.
Totally sets it apart. Is there a different perspective we need to look at before we say, this is where I'm going to settle?
Okay, and so as honest inquirers, this is what we're doing. We're now evaluating this concept of pluralism.
Absolutely.
On one half, we have said that this concept of pluralism can make a lot of sense because a lot of religions have similarities with each other.
Exactly.
But now the question is this: is there another perspective that we have to consider before we accept this concept of pluralism, before we say that no, there's not one true faith because all of them lead to the same direction?
Correct.
I think
Yes.
there is another perspective
Okay,
we have to
let's
evaluate.
check it out.
And
Let's
I think
check it
as
out.
you and I, we kind of studied it,
Yes.
we kind of came to the conclusion that there are at least 3 challenges, 3 problems to this concept of pluralism
Yes.
that we discovered.
That is
So it's
correct.
okay, can I take the first one and just kind of
Absolutely.
share the
Please.
difficulty that we
Please
kind
go
of had?
ahead.
So the first problem is what we call the problem of incoherence. So if anyone is out there right now, it's about to get deep. Somebody say the word deep. Somebody say the word deep. I'm not moving until somebody says the word deep. Somebody says the word deep. All right, I'm
All
seeing it.
right.
I'm seeing. Somebody said the word deep.
Yes.
So we're going to get a little bit deep over here because as we kind of assessed it, we saw a couple of problems. As I said, the first problem that we kind of saw was what we call the problem of incoherence. And this is what pretty much the problem of incoherence is trying to say. The problem of incoherence is trying to say that concerning some core realities, each religion articulates something vastly different. So yes, there are similarities between each religion, but then there are some core issues where when the religion speaks about it, they are saying things that are totally different from each other. Matter of fact, they're saying some things which are in absolute contradiction with each other.
Well, give us an example.
All right, well, I'm glad you asked. Well,
Okay.
many religions talk about the person of Jesus. It's not only the Christian religion that
No,
talks about the
no.
person of Jesus. And when different religions talk about the person of Jesus, especially his death, this is what some religions say.
All right.
So you have Islam, and concerning the death of Jesus, Islam says that Jesus did not die. Okay? That's what they say about
Okay.
Jesus. When you look at Judaism, they say that Jesus died and he stayed dead. But then when you look at Christianity, they said Jesus died and he rose again. So, you have these different religions. And concerning the claim of Jesus, or concerning the reality of Jesus, they have, all of them, have 3 different ideas about what happened with Jesus.
Right.
So the question you have to ask yourself is, which fact is true about Jesus? Which fact is true about him?
Absolutely.
Did Jesus not die? Did Jesus die and stay dead? Or did Jesus die and rose again? Which one is true? Because we can't say that Jesus did not die, then he died, then he stayed dead, then he died, then he rose again. Have you ever seen anyone do that before?
Well, no.
Die, then not die, then die.
No, that will drive the honest inquirers crazy.
That would drive us
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
You see,
Absolutely.
and that's what we are talking about with the problem of incoherence.
Well,
What the problem of incoherence
Yeah.
is saying is that if all the religions can't be right, about that the person of Jesus, but we say that all religions are equally true, then it brings up what we call the problem of incoherence. Simply saying that claiming that all religions are equally true will create too many logical inconsistencies.
Wow.
When we look at that, what we just looked at with the person of Jesus,
Yes.
Islam says he did not die. Judaism says he died and he stayed dead. Christianity says that he died and he rose again. At the end of the day, which one is true? If we say that all of them are true, then it's going to cause a problem because it's going to create too many contradictions. It's not going to be coherent. And at the end of the day, it's hard to follow a worldview that is not coherent.
so those contradictions then lead to problem number 2.
All right,
When
all
there are
right.
contradictions, so we are ready to say, I don't want any of these.
Okay.
You just want to throw in the towel. People will say, I'm confused, so I want nothing to do with these
Well,
guys.
I had a friend like that in middle school.
Okay.
And so the friend looked at me and was like, I raised this point to my friend. And my friend pretty much looked at me and said, well, Koja, those differences, I ignore them. I just ignore them and then, all the religions lead to, I just ignore those little differences. Is it okay to ignore those differences? Because, those differences are not just little.
Right.
There are much more differences than just the person of Jesus. Different religions have different ways that they understand God.
Right.
Some religions understand God to be, the Christians will say God is 3 in 1. The Muslims will say that God is just one. The Hindus will say that God is so many. Which one is true at the end of the day? It's too many contradictions. All of them can't be true at the same time. Understanding of death, those things are different. The understanding of human beings, some religions will say when human beings die, they come back in different forms.
Right.
Some religions will say when human beings die, they just stay dead. Well, which one is true about death at the end of the day? It's too many contradictions. But then my friend will simply look at us and say, well, Koja, I just ignore all those things. I just dismiss all those things. Is that okay?
Well, that is called buffet religion. That's like going to a buffet in a restaurant.
Okay.
There are so many people who pick and choose. If this religion fits my lifestyle,
Yeah.
my thought process,
Yeah.
I'm going to choose this from this.
Yeah.
And this is called, by the way, the religion of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay.
She used to be an American goddess.
Okay, yeah.
So she used to say, I pick a little of this,
Yeah.
I pick a little of that,
Yeah.
I pick a little of that,
Yeah.
and I leave everything on the side.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of people today, because they subscribe to pluralism, they are in that boat. Their religion is called the religion of buffetism.
Wow. And what problem does that lead us to?
It leads us to the second big problem, the problem of respect.
Well, so let me make sure everybody is caught up to
Yes.
speed at this moment. So far, I want everyone to be following along. We're talking about the question, how can we say that there's only one true religion if all religions are pretty much the same? We've looked at several similarities with the different religions, but now we are evaluating it a little bit further. And the first problem that we have seen with this whole concept of all the religions are the same is that it raises the problem of incoherence. Each religion makes different claims about certain key issues. Those claims are so different that at the end of the day, they create so many contradictions. They create so many incoherencies. And so at the end of the day, that is the first problem that we're finding with the concept of pluralism, the fact that there's incoherence. But then Jebba now is introducing a second problem, and now you're introducing the problem of respect. Talk about this one a little further.
It's a natural progression from incoherence to respect. Because if you use the example that you used of Jesus,
Okay.
one religion is saying he never died, another religion saying he died and he never got up. He stayed in the grave. And another religion, he died, but on the third day he rose up.
Yeah.
When each one stake their claim and they dig in their feet, then this is what happens.
Okay.
You begin to disrespect, and it starts out by saying, if this is how you believe, that's not how I believe, so I'm going to ignore your viewpoint.
Okay.
You know, we talked about tolerance to this point, but this respect says, I am going to ignore your viewpoint.
Wow.
And what that is going to do is, when I start ignoring your viewpoint, honestly, I'm being disrespectful
Wow,
of you.
wow.
I'm not saying I give credibility to what you believe. I'm pushing it to the side, and that immediately is received as, that is disrespectful.
Wow.
And that leads to, I want to change your way of thinking. You
Oh,
see what I'm
wow.
saying?
Wow.
So it is almost like I cannot leave it there.
Wow.
I have to say, mine is right,
Right.
and this is what I'm going to do.
Right, right.
So I'm going to tweak.
Right.
So I'm going to change your tenet.
Right,
and
right.
that leads to that fourth thing. That leads to a lot of damage. It damages the religion. It damages the relationship. It damages the psyche of the person because respect has been lost along the way.
This is so interesting. So what you're saying is that at the end of the day, if I, do the Marilyn Monroe method,
Yes.
where I say, oh, those little differences in each religion, I'm just going to ignore them, it's going to create a respect problem because, I'm ignoring those key claims in those religions. By ignoring it, I'm disrespecting it. Not only am I disrespecting it, by ignoring it, I'm trying to actually change the religion because I'm saying, well, we're not going to really say that,
Right.
Jesus is God. We're not really going to say that, so on and so forth. So I'm even changing it. And by changing it, I'm actually doing damage to
Absolutely.
it. Wow, that is so deep. That
So
is
let's
deep.
go to the third one.
All
you
right.
have the third thing?
Well, before I
third
go to
problem, yes.
before I go to the third thing, I just want to keep everybody up to speed. So it seems like so far we're looking at this concept of pluralism. And as we're looking at this concept of pluralism, we're saying that the first problem is that it leads to some incoherencies.
Right.
We can't say that all of them are equal because when we say all of them are equal, they create a lot of contradictions. But the second thing is that if we say all of them are equal, then what it does is that it leads to a problem of disrespect.
That's correct.
Because we start to ignore some key claims in each religion, thus changing the religion and then damaging the religion. And it's interesting. I just want to make one point about this because I think that sometimes when we look at the concept of pluralism, we think that from the beginning we're being respectful because we're saying everyone can believe in their own way. But when we do things like this, when we ignore key claims in each religion and we try to change it and we try to damage it, that's actually more disrespectful than it is respectful.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's something key to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about the third problem.
Okay, let's go.
But before I talk about the third problem, Jebba, yesterday I was on Facebook. Well, I was actually not on Facebook. I was on our church website.
Okay.
And while I was on our church website, I saw a picture of you and I. You know what I'm saying?
Aw.
This is me,
Yeah, right.
and that's you. Who is
Okay.
more beautiful, me or you? I don't know.
Well,
We'll leave it to your
can
wife.
you guys
Yeah.
vote on it? Maybe our audience can, type in what they
Alright.
vote. Okay.
So as I looked at
All
these
right.
pictures, Jebba, I looked at it and I said, Jebba, I think you and I are the same weight.
Well,
It was just a random thought that came to my head. I said, I think you are the same
well,
weight.
I would like to ask the audience, just type
Wait,
in
hold
there,
on.
if
You don't
Roja and I
think
are
we're the
weight.
same weight?
No, I think,
Disrespectful. Disrespect.
you might think one thing, I might think another thing. I think it'd be great for our audience to say, we think, or some of them might say, I know that this is your weight and this is your weight. So, it'd be interesting
I
to
feel
find
so
out.
disrespected. I don't know what to do.
Well,
So
I'm
what?
sorry.
So what? We're gonna depend on the audience?
Yeah, well, we can depend. What I'm saying
They're
is,
not trustworthy,
Yeah.
Jebba. We can't depend on
Oh,
the
I
audience.
trust a lot of them.
Oh,
I
you
trust a
say,
lot of them,
yeah.
So
I mean, on this point.
on this point, on this point, I trust them too.
Oh, yeah. Nah, we can't. We got to use something else.
So the point simply is, well, that's a good point.
Okay.
What you're saying is, when we go back and forth like this,
Okay.
we are in the thick of the situation, so we are very subjective with
Okay.
what we're going to say.
Right.
So what you are pushing us is to ask the question, is there an outside objective factor
Exactly.
that can be used to evaluate, our weight situation?
Okay. So what would it be?
So, I'm sure a lot of our friends know this. This is called a scale.
Yeah.
A scale is something outside of ourselves. Where when you and I argue about, are we of the same weight or not, all we have to do is we put a scale down and we stand on it, we take turns, and the scale would tell us exactly what our weight is and if we are on the same page as far as weight is concerned.
So what you're saying is that if we want to figure out if our weights are equal, we need some sort of outside objective criteria in order to tell us so.
Absolutely.
Here is the thing. If we are to say that all religions are the same, then the question is this: what is the scale? What is the outside objective criteria that we're going to use in order to say that all of the religions are the same?
Absolutely.
This brings the third problem that we have with pluralism as we studied it. And it's called the problem of the reference point. Again, we're going to say it one more time. If we make the claim that all the religions are the same, just like how we made the claim that our weights are the same, we need some sort of outside objective criteria in order to help determine whether our weights are the same or not. And in the same way, there is some sort of outside objective criteria that is needed, some sort of scale that is needed to determine whether the religions are the same or not. And here's the problem, everybody. Here's the problem. The problem is we don't have it.
Absolutely.
We don't have it.
Yep.
Who is the scale? Is it science? What makes science the scale? You know, we have to ask ourselves, is it
Absolutely.
philosophy? What makes philosophy the scale? Is it my own? You know, a lot of times it's just our own personal feelings and our own personal thoughts. What is that scale? What is that reference point that tells us that all of these religions are equally the same? The truth of the matter is, Jebba, I don't know what it is. I can't find it. And if we can't find a reference point, then we cannot sit here with confidence and say that all the religions are equally the same. It just doesn't hold up.
Absolutely. Which simply says to what you're saying that pluralism at the end of the day just does not work. Because we say here, you know, you have this map that says, you know, all the arrows are pointing to the same God. We have a different way. But what we're finding out is pluralism has these major problems.
Exactly.
Which means that pluralism just does not work. We cannot accept the premise that everything is equal, so whatever you choose is fine, because they have these major problems. And when we face those problems, we begin to realize there is a different way we have to look. In a sense, what pluralism is saying is we have to reject all of them, or we have to look at them again objectively and say which of these religions have the kernel of truth,
Exactly.
which might set that faith exclusively apart from all the
Exactly. And I think with the inquiring that we have done, I don't think you and I are comfortable with saying we're going to reject religion altogether, because that would lead to atheism.
Exactly.
And so we have to go with that other option. At the end of the day, we have to look and say perhaps one religion is the way. Because here's the problem. You know, all the religions say, I am the only way. All the religions say, I am the only way. And to say that, oh, we're just going to ignore that, remember, that's the problem of disrespect, right? To say that, oh, no, that's not necessarily true, that's the problem of contradiction. You know, and so at the end of the day, we have to take it seriously and say, perhaps there is only one way.
Correct.
Yeah. And so with that being said, Jebba, my question I have for you is this. If we're going to sit here and say that one religion is the only way, one religion is the true way, that leads us to God, that leads us to who the Father is, does that mean that, remember what we introduced in the beginning, does that mean that I have to be intolerant of other people's views? Does that mean that I have to be disrespectful towards other people's religions? Does that mean that I have to be coercive and make people follow my religion? What does that mean?
Absolutely not. To the contrary, Kojo, from what you're asking, my experience and in the experience of people I have watched, the more you're anchored in your faith, the more you know for certain that your faith is the faith. You are more tolerant of people. You are more respectful of people. You are more humble, like the points we talked about. You don't get riled up. You don't get bent out of shape, because you know through honest inquiry that what you have subscribed to at the end of the day, not because this is the faith you are born into, this is how your parents raised, you come to a place in your life journey where you say, I have to stand back for myself and I have to check out the credentials of all the religions that are out there. And when I come to a place and I am anchored in that place and I grow in that faith, then I look at every human being around and I have the deepest respect for them and tolerance for them. So I always say to myself, when I'm part of a religion that does not tolerate this kind of diversity and respect for other people, then there could very well be a problem with the faith that I subscribe to.
Talk about it, Jabba. Talk about it. Talk about it. Wow. So this is where we are so far.
Absolutely.
Today we're asking an important question. We're saying that there's a concept that is out there. And the concept that is out there is that all religions are the same. They lead us to just one God. And we saw that this concept has some sort of persuasion. Because when you look at many of the religions, they have similarities with each other. But upon closer inspection, we realize that the concept of pluralism has some problems. Has the problems of incoherence, the problem of respect, and then it has the problem of a reference point.
Right.
There is no scale, some outside objective criteria that lets us know whether they're equal or not. If that's the case, then we have just concluded that at the end of the day, we can either dismiss all the religions, which we're not comfortable with,
Right.
or we can say at the end of the day that one of the religions are the true faith, because each one claims to be that true faith. But then I love what you're just saying. What you're saying right now is that if I choose one religion and I say that that is the true faith, that doesn't mean I have to be disrespectful or intolerant of other people's religions.
Yes.
And ultimately, the reason being is because I have to respect the fact that each and every person has freedom of choice.
Absolutely.
Each and every
Absolutely.
person has freedom of choice. And yes, choices can bring about certain consequences, but at least I need to respect that choice. You know, talking about choices, the truth of the matter is that when it comes to this topic of God, when it comes to this topic of religion, each and every person has to make a choice. You have to make a choice and say, am I going to reject all the religions and I'm going to be an atheist? You know, that's a choice you're going to have to make.
Yes.
You're going to have to make a choice and say, do I just say that I don't know if there are any of them? You know, that's an agnostic. You have to make that choice. Or you can sit there and say, with all the different religions that are there, you're going to ask yourself, can I choose any one of those religions? You know, we can't go into depth with this question right here. But the truth of the matter is that when you and we looked at the evidence, you and we made our own decisions. And while I was born into the Christian religion, at a certain point, I realized that I have to choose it. I cannot just be born inside of it. And I think that's a challenge with many people, where many people just born in the faith. At a certain point, they don't choose their faith. They just are a part of it because they were born into it. But at a certain point, Jabba, I had to sit back and say, I had to choose my religion. I had to choose my faith. Did you ever have to make a decision like that yourself?
Absolutely. You know, I was born into a certain faith as well. But what I learned very quickly, I was in a place where the faith my family subscribed to was the smallest minority.
Oh, wow.
So all my friends were of very different faiths, and their habits were different, you know,
Wow.
all our things. So it taught me at a certain stage in life to step back and say, what do I want to choose?
Exactly.
And what I'm sensing is, in the lives of people I encounter on a regular basis, those who have chosen to take a step back and critically look at different faiths
Yeah.
and challenge each premise,
Yeah.
then they choose a faith of their own.
Yeah.
They tend to be so well anchored and
Exactly.
solid in that.
Exactly.
And that is beautiful. And that is what we want to talk about
Excellent.
and end our conversation this evening.
Absolutely. You know, and at the end of the day, both you and we've talked before.
Yes.
And so the faith that we ended up choosing was the faith of Christianity, the faith of
Absolutely.
Jesus. And I believe that the reason why we chose this faith, and we've talked about this many times, is because we realized that the person of Jesus was the most unique out of all the faiths.
Yes.
For example, if you look at the birth of Jesus, or if you look at the birth of all the founders of different religions, you realize that the founders of the 5 major religions had more noble births. But when you look at the birth of Jesus, something was different. He was born in a lonely manger. He was born in a lowly manger.
Absolutely.
How about the next one?
Well, the length of ministry. Every world religion has its leaders, their founders. They serve almost the entire duration of their lives. But when you look at the life of Jesus Christ, you find out that he served anywhere between 3 to 3.5 years.
Wow.
It was a very short, very concentrated ministry he had.
Wow.
And in that short period of time, he had the opportunity or the task
Wow.
of establishing something that is incredible.
Wow. And so when we look at the length of ministry, we see that Jesus is totally unique.
Very unique.
Wow.
very
But how
unique.
about if we look at his life? You know, when you look at the lives of the different founders of the different religions, you would see that many of them had challenges with personal sins. Jesus is the only founder where 12 times in the Bible it says, this is a man who had no fault. This is a man who had no sin. And when I look at something like this, I say, wow, this person stands out. He's totally unique.
Wow, his death, we can talk all night long about
Oh, come on,
this.
somebody.
You know, the death of Jesus Christ is, again, among all world religion leaders, is singularly unique.
Wow.
Because of the mission that Jesus undertook, his death was on a cross. And that is why in the Christian faith, the cross continues to be the symbol of the Christian faith.
Wow.
That the founder of the faith chose to die a criminal's death on the cross. And that again, unlike all the other founders and leaders, they died natural deaths, they have their gravesites, but Jesus died on a cross, the death
Wow.
of a criminal. So that is very, very unique.
Wow, it totally stands
It
out.
is.
But even what about his post-death? When all the founders of the different religions had died, that's it. We didn't hear about anything about them ever again. But only with Jesus, when after he died, he did not stay in the grave. But then he resurrected, and he says, now I have the keys of Hades, and I have the keys of death, and I'm
Wow.
alive forevermore.
Incredible.
Wow,
Incredible.
incredible.
And then what else? Whoa. The purpose of all that Jesus came for. I would like to say, Kojo, here again is something that singularly sets Jesus Christ apart.
Wow.
He was the founder of this faith, of this religion that was focused on fixing our fundamental human problem, fixing our mess called sin. Jesus is singularly the person in all of history who steps out of his comfort zone
Wow.
because we were, floundering in our mess or called sin. And Jesus decided that he would come in order to pull us out of our mess
Amen.
and turn our lives around.
Wow.
And that is unique to the Christian faith.
This is why we chose Jesus. And we want to encourage you to choose him too. We want to encourage you to explore the Christian faith. And we want to encourage you to explore this unique founder. This unique founder called Jesus, who says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He is exclusive in that he says, I am the one true way. But he is inclusive in that he calls all to come to him. Our friend Ashton is going to talk about how you can begin to explore the Christian faith, this person called Jesus, this unique person, a little bit more. And I think that you should pay special attention to him.
Thank you, Jeba and Kojo, for taking time out and showing us why it's so important to choose Jesus. And as you were listening this evening, maybe you've been thinking about choosing Jesus. Maybe you've been wanting a closer walk with Jesus. Maybe you've been wanting a better relationship with Jesus. Whatever your relationship is with him, wherever you are in your spiritual journey and in your spiritual development, we want to hear from you. In the description box, in the chat box on YouTube, on Facebook, you will find a link that will tell you how you can make that decision to choose Jesus Christ. You will see on the screen different ways and how once you get to that link, there's some things that we would want you to fill out. We want you to give us your name, your email address, your phone number, so that somebody can be able to reach out to you. And once you do that, you tell us exactly what it is that you're looking for. Maybe you want Bible study. Maybe you want to talk with somebody and just share with somebody and get to know more about who this Jesus is and what he has to offer. Maybe you want someone to study more about the Word of God to let you know, hey, this is what Jesus is about. This is what Jesus has done for you. And you know what? Maybe you're someone who's been studying for a long time and now you're ready to make a decision and you want to choose Jesus publicly and you want to do that through baptism. Make that selection and let us know which area you're in. Let us know if you're closer to the Village Church in Mason, closer to the Hamlet Church in Amelia, closer to the Cincinnati Church or the Clifton Church in Cincinnati. Let us know where you are so that we can know exactly how to reach out to you, who will reach out to you. We are so happy that you want to choose Jesus. And we are praying for you as you make this decision. And so before we conclude this evening, we'll have another special music, and then we'll conclude in prayer.
Savior, know my thoughts, I pray. See if there be some wicked way in me. Cleanse me from every sin and set me free. I praise thee, O Lord, from cleansing me from sin. Fulfill thy word and make me pure within. Fill me with fire where once I burned with shame. Grant my desire to magnify thy name. Lord, take my life and make it wholly thine. Fill my poor heart with thy great love divine. Take all my will, my passion, self, and pride. I now surrender, Lord, in me abide. Oh, Holy Ghost, revival comes from thee. Send a revival, start the work in me. Thy word declares thou wilt supply our need. For blessings now, O Lord, I humbly plead.
God and Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for the word presented tonight by Pastors Kojo and Jabba. And now, dear God, as we present Jesus Christ, as we lift up the name of Jesus, there's someone who's willing and waiting to make a decision for him. And so we ask that you touch that person, bless that person, and help that person to make a decision. And Lord, bless us now as we conclude this service. Prepare us for a wonderful day tomorrow and to come back once again for night 3. We thank you, God, for everything that you've done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you all. Good night, and see you tomorrow night.